On delay.
On delay?
Now,
What?
No delay? No delay?
are we ready? And action. Hello, everyone, in the delay world of podcasting. We are doing a very special episode because we have a pant-wearing Sean tonight.
No, I'm not wearing pants.
Oh, you're not wearing pants. All right.
Pants free, man.
Pant-free. All right. Sean has been gone a while because he's been on a secret mission for Super Geeks. He's been out there exploring the universe as a bounty hunter. He's the one under the mask, people. No, I'm just kidding. But the Mandalorian has finally dropped. We decided that for this first show about it, we're gonna do it as
not just dropped, 2 drops.
2 drops
in 1 week.
Yep.
It's like 2 seashells, or is it 3? I forget.
Well, I ain't wiping my ass with this show. I'll tell you that much.
Well, with me today, as always, is the bounty hunter notice, or is he a smuggler? I'm not sure. Mr. Sean Solo. How are you, Sean?
I am rocking and rolling tonight. I'm so stoked to be here with you. I would not miss this show for the world. I have got my Han Solo New York Mets Never Tell Us the Odds shirt on. And this is in honor, of course, of Mandalorian, and on top of the fact that Pete Alonso won Rookie of the Year and Jacob DeGrom won his 2nd Cy Young Award in a row. Thank you very much. I ain't fucking around with my fandom tonight. I am also heavily armed with Jyn Erso's blaster.
Yes.
And
by the way, I happen to know that Sean shot first.
Absolutely.
That's what she said. We already know.
And I have my Bespin DL-44 from Empire Strikes Back as well. So I ain't playing around tonight. It's guns out.
Oh, man.
Must be guns.
And we have a sudden ambush by IG Ross. That doesn't work. Ross, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to have tapped that bell right on the way in.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
did. And welcome back, Eyebrows of Doom.
Yes, for those that are fans of Ross's eyebrows, a
They're both here
Mandalorian helmet would unfortunately screw those up, so he can never be a Mandalorian.
Well, I'm not armed with any Star Wars memorabilia. I am dressed for a dinosaur museum, a B-movie sci-fi hoodie, and, of course...
Oh, yeah.
Wow, Hammer.
Hey, you know what?
What is this B movie? Hold on. I want to say, what is this B movie sci-fi? What are you?
That's a Warhammer thing.
I can't.
On the back of his sweatshirt? I don't know.
Yeah, Ross, you got to talk. Oh, wait a minute. How do I fix this?
The hoodie is from Laser Team. Let's see. There we go.
Oh shit, that is some B movie that I haven't even heard of. That's saying a lot.
It was Rooster Teeth's first feature-length film.
Oh.
All right, we got a few people joining us on the chat. Say hi to everybody, Shane and Jesse and Augustine.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, bitches?
And for Shane, it's in Australia. He's a friend of mine from our Subspace Radio days, and he says this afternoon, so, it's always got to be early somewhere, people.
And Augustine, who I actually went to high school with.
You did?
You did?
I did, yeah.
You did.
How did I not know that?
It's such a weird thing because it's like we were friends on Facebook, of course, because we went to high school together. I had it's like all of a sudden we came together over the fan film that Dare Not Speak Its Name, and it was really funny. So and we connected on that, and of course it's been ever since. But yeah, Augustine and I went to high school.
I didn't think he was a real person. I thought he was a bot.
No,
wow.
he really is. He's legit.
Justin, can you put up the spoiler alert? Yeah.
The Aquinas Institute in Rochester, New York. That's where we went to high school.
All right, you guys. I'm spotlighting Mr. Justin for a second because it is spoiler alert time. Spoiler alert. You guys might not see it.
And I shall be bowing out until after the spoilers.
Okay, so hold on, Ross.
That's okay. Pornhub is available 24 hours a day. 7 days a week.
It is.
Yes, it is.
There you go.
That's why I have 2 screens, Ross.
Fucking A.
Ross, you want us to cue you in a
Who
PM?
doesn't?
Ross, I'll cue you in a PM when we're ready to move on to
I have 3, 4, all.
Well, I've got the window open, so as soon as the spoiler alert goes away...
Yeah, you can always mute it. That's fine.
3 or 4. What are you, Harvey Korman in the Star Wars Holiday Special? You got extra arms floating around, Carlos? What's going on?
Just call me Lumpy.
Lumpy. Oh, man.
Whip stir, whip stir.
All right. So let's get started. The Mandalorian dropped 2 episodes. Well, it didn't just drop 2 episodes because it's not like a binge thing like Netflix. It released 2 episodes in the same week.
Dropped better like a bomb.
Yeah.
It exploded. It was amazing.
It went into hyperspace. It came out of hyperspace.
That's it, Joe.
Sean hasn't been here in a while. He's been the most excited to talk about this show. So I want to start with Sean. I want to. Yeah, here's how I want to do it since we're doing 2 episodes at once. Again, we're going to talk spoilers, but the way I want to do this is we have 2 episodes. Let's talk about the.
I'm sorry, I can't get over Ross.
He doesn't care.
He's just sitting back chilling.
He's just. I'm having my iced tea. Made it myself.
Perfect timing.
I have spoken. All right, Sean, you need to be the one that's spoken.
I have spoken.
What's wrong
That's my new tagline.
All right, we're going to talk about the first episode first, and then we'll go on to the second. Let's do it. Let's break them up a little bit.
All right,
so
let's talk about the greatest moment I think ever in Star Wars history that happened in the first 10 minutes of this episode.
Okay.
And that is the shout out to fucking Life Day. Yes!
Yeah, that
The
was
Star
cool.
Wars Holiday Special is canon. Yes.
We're going to hashtag that later.
And here's the thing. People think I'm joking around with it. I fucking love the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I
have
know
no
you
idea.
do.
It's
Yeah, he
such
does.
a weird, I have a weird affection for this thing. I love it so much. It's so cringeworthy.
Maybe we
and
should call
wonderful.
you Lumpy.
Honestly, yeah, that works. Yeah, or itchy. I can do that a lot too. So,
Does that make me scratchy? Oh, sorry, different franchise.
Scratcher.
But not necessarily because it's all owned by Disney now. So,
It's true.
by the way, all 30 seasons of The Simpsons are available on Disney Plus. If you did not know that. It was starting with the original pilot, the holiday.
Yes, the cropped version.
Yes, it is. It is. Yes, but
right.
it's there. But anyway, so okay, my first impressions on this, as people that follow me in the Super Geeks group on Facebook, the first thing I put on there, after I mentioned Life Day, of course, the first post I made about this is the best serialized Western I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
It is.
And it's what I love about this approach to this. It's like right out of the gate, from just the camera angle, from the opening shot and the music, you know it's a Western. It's clear that it's a Western, and I'm loving this approach. It's so completely, 180 degrees opposite from everything else we know of what Star Wars has been traditionally for us. It's less space opera and more just straight up old fashioned Western.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could throw samurais.
It was
in
a
this.
smart, creative choice.
I agree. It's so nice to see Favreau have it's clear he has a love for this franchise.
Oh yeah.
But to have him put his own personal stamp on the direction of where to take this type of series is great. I'm so impressed with this. I mean, if you can, I think you can go into this never having seen Star Wars before and saying, this is really fucking cool. I mean, and just enjoy it. You can get fans of Westerns to enjoy this easily. I loved it. It's really, you had the saloon scene right in the opening. The cantina has been, it's a trope in Star Wars, but I thought it was used kind of perfectly in the 2 scenes we had a cantina.
Let's call it what it is. Not a
And
cantina.
service.
A saloon.
Oh yeah. Well,
exactly. It's a saloon. Exactly. Right.
My favorite part was the iris doors as opposed
Yes!
to the
Oh,
that
yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah.
And he hit the
that's a
lock.
good point because in all the other cantinas they have an open arch. They don't have a door.
Yep.
You just
exactly.
walk through.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
and,
sure it does close at the end of the night, but
But I mean, you could almost hear the piano music playing in the background.
Yeah.
When the bartender
That's
says,
what they were missing. Thank you. They didn't alien.
Right, but the bartender says, "Don't worry about it. I'll pay for his drink," because it's like, "Listen, stranger, we don't want any trouble in here." It's basically what he was saying right then and there, and it was great. And so we get through that, and of course, it's following a typical Western theme here. Bounty hunter, the gunslinger rolls into town. He goes to his.
I was waiting for tumbleweeds to come.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. And they're talking about they're going over payment and this one job. It's not even on the books, man. And it's like this is just so rich and just enjoyable all the way around. And I loved how in such a short period of time, because the pilot was only 9 minutes long. And by the way, for the record, can we say this? Even though the show went straight to series, can we still call the first episode a pilot, or is that not allowed?
I mean,
it felt more like a movie than a pilot. The TV show really did.
Well, the first episode is almost always referred to as a pilot and has the title pilot. This one did not. This had what was the title?
Chapter 1.
Yeah, but it had a
subtitle. Episode chapter 2 was the child. I don't remember what
the
chapter
child.
1 was.
I don't remember.
The bounty, something I forget.
Hold on, let me go look.
You can look it up while we're talking.
Well, anyway, so and there's all sorts of interesting things that they were able to squeeze into this, and though it felt like there were some scenes just nothing but silence and just. And it felt like it's kind of drawn out here, but they crammed so much in there. The Mandalorian scenes themselves with that Beskar metal and
Beskar steel.
Beskar steel.
I'll talk about that by the way in a minute, but keep going.
Okay, that set up a lot for his backstory alone. Okay, we got to know first and foremost that number one, he's he cares very much about children. He made that very clear.
He was
actually. Orphans, that's the difference.
Right, exactly. Orphans, children, right. He cares about that. And this means something to him. That was like a tithing he gave after he got his shoulder thing. The pauldron, is that what we call that?
Yeah, the pauldron, yeah.
Right, after he got and this gives us even more about the Mandalorian, that this is the type of thing that is earned. That you piece together your armor. This is a tradition. And I dig these kind of traditions being thrown in.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? We're still on you, but because you're talking about the Beskar armor, let me just quickly insert some trivia about that. It's not something they made up for this episode. Dave Filoni introduced it in Rebels. They had an entire arc about how the Empire used a weapon that melted.
Oh yes,
they disintegrated. They killed off thousands of Mandalorians because anyone wearing Beskar armor was superheated by this weapon and disintegrated.
Right.
So
yes.
Beskar is an ancient metal that the Mandalorians traditionally have to earn pieces of to become like their status as a warrior to get their armor built up. It's heavily resistant to blaster fire. It can take a grazing hit from a lightsaber, but not a direct slice. But it helps them survive.
Yeah,
and it's a status thing. It's a status thing.
It was clearly a status thing as well. And our character, we realized from this scene alone, our character is a hero. Period. Okay, he's the good guy. Okay, and I like how they established that.
He's trying to prove himself.
There's no real ambiguity about him. He's kind of like the sheriff that rolled into town in the Old West. That were the marshals that rolled into town.
Well, he's literally the man with no name in every sense of the.
Right, and one of the scene that I loved was when he actually went to the meeting with the guy giving the bounty
the Imperial guy, yeah.
Well, he was
Werner Herzog. Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, he's back again.
That was so
cool. In Star Wars. I love it. Yep.
Man.
And he was surrounded. Did you notice the stormtroopers? It was
awesome.
It was great. They were.
It was like
they were filthy. They were. Did you notice how thin and emaciated they were? By the way, they were. They haven't.
I couldn't tell through the armor.
By the way, trivia, real quick. Wait, Sean, trivia. They hired the entire fan 501st Legion to play all the stormtroopers.
No, that's cool. That's really awesome. I did that. But they these guys were thinner than your average stormtrooper.
That's true.
And this is what it looks like when the Empire falls and you don't have a job and you gotta work as a merc for Werner Herzog.
I'd work as a herc for Merc. I mean, work as a merc for Herzog.
So I dug that about that because it really shows us the state, and it kind of brings us back because one of the complaints the thing about the prequel trilogy that kind of like made it dumb was that everybody was a clone, and I get. Okay, not going too much into it, but the point being is like back in the original trilogy, it's like stormtroopers kind of had some character to them, like in they talked, they joked around, as much as
didn't they have all the same voice too? I
don't think so. They had different voices, but they seem more like people and now to see them back in this point where they're like shit, man, we just need work. Can we get some bread? I mean, seriously, that's all. I mean, yep, exactly. It's perfect.
Let me
You playing a game there? Okay, so
He's playing with his organs.
So now the next thing, what I really liked was when we actually get to going to get our asset, and that cowboy town he strolled into where IG-11 was already there, and there's a couple of things about this. First and foremost, I love this notion of I watched this episode twice because to take all this in. I love this notion of a professional bounty hunters guild that has professional standards and in charge of
And
professional
droids.
raids.
And droids.
Right.
they're bounty droids, but yeah.
Right. But so there's a sense of honor even among the bounty hunters.
Well, yeah,
as
honor among thieves
And-
type thing. Yeah.
Not even among thieves; they're professionals.
Yeah,
This is
they're
their
a guild.
job.
It's an actual
They're
guild.
an
Yeah,
actual
right.
guild. An actual.
Well, there are so many
guild.
RPG things that happen throughout this whole show. By the way, somebody pointed out on the Critical Role show, if you want to see the best example of how to run a Star Wars tabletop role-playing game, just watch The Mandalorian. Because the whole show is from his point of view, and it's not from anyone else's, and this is how you build up the leveling up and the armor and just the whole...
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, there's so much like XP plus 10 here.
That's what I mean, yeah.
On the whole thing. So,
Send him on a quest, he does this, he does that.
Right, exactly. So, and of course, we get to the end here, where at the end of the episode, where after, IG-11 and him come to terms on this, and, they cooperated to the end. And it was very interesting what happened, because this is a major plot point. I don't know if people caught this, but IG-11 was content on killing the baby. And of course, his orders were bring it back, but if you have to, kill it. Okay? And what it comes down to is the fact that both of them were on this, and both of them had two distinct instructions.
That was noticeable.
There's
two different people want that baby.
There are multiple parties involved in trying to get this Baby Yoda thing.
That's right. We don't.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't.
And
assume
by
that
the
it was
way-
the same guy who
cute.
sent.
Exactly.
And by the way, before we get to the...
Hold on. I can't imagine that Werner Herzog's character, let's call him the client, I can't imagine that the client gave two bounty hunters two different
I doubt it.
instructions. And based on the doctor, is it Dr. Sheridan, I think his name is? Whatever his name is.
Something else, but I forget. Just call him the doctor.
Okay, based on his commentary, okay, this seems very important to him that they get this baby, that they get this asset back, because for whatever reason. But on the other side of the coin, it's like Werner Herzog's position is, yes, we need it back, but it's so dangerous that if you can't, eliminate it.
I don't remember him saying dangerous.
He didn't say it at all. It was the implication. If it's that, and remember what the doctor said. He said if it's pragmatic, if you have to, you can eliminate it. And the doctor says that's not what we agreed to. Okay,
right.
So there's something.
But the answer is even better from Werner Herzog, from the client, was something. What was it? Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
Complicated profession.
Complicated profession. Right.
Now,
exactly.
now, by the way, before we
hold on, last bit here, okay? Because I'm going to be done with it. You can. My favorite part, absolute favorite part of this episode, was the very final second where he reaches his little finger out and pokes his finger. It was so cute. I'm like, this guy's awesome.
Cutest Yoda I've ever seen.
Carlos,
it was like amazing. It's like, okay, we know where this is going.
Thank you,
We
Justin.
know, right? We know who our hero is here, and we know what kind of adventure these two are going on together.
And Carlos,
and it's not particularly. Hold on, it's not a particularly. This isn't anything new. It's like most tropes out there. They're not anything new. But they are. It's how it's being told that is the difference. And we can go on after that. We'll get on to episode 2 after that.
Right, but I just want to say one thing to Carlos, because he's a comic book reader. If Ross was actually seen it and was listening, he'd jump in. Carlos, Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh yeah.
That's what a lot of people online are agreeing after the second episode, especially. I'll get into this in a minute about what Jon Favreau said about the baby, because he said a lot today in an interview about what to expect. And this baby is huge. He said he's going to be in every episode of the entire series from this point on. Everyone.
That's great.
Season 2 as well?
Yes.
My favorite part about the baby, he's 50 years old.
Exactly. Right. Now, that's the same amount of time, by the way, that people
that
Anakin was born on. That's an interesting point.
What?
I don't think that math works.
No, it's true. All these other people are saying on all the big podcasts, especially the ones that like the stupendous wave and Star Wars theory. They said it's exactly the year Anakin was born.
I'm not sure about that. I don't think
check
that
it.
math
50
works.
years from. It's 30 years from the Clone Wars, but it's 50 years from when Anakin was born.
That
Yeah,
means
but-
Anakin. Oh,
Anakin was 20 when the Clone Wars started. He was 1920. That was 10 years after he was 10 when he met Padme in Episode 1. I'm just saying, and it's been 30 years
Okay.
total
Whatever.
since
I
the
mean,
Clone Wars.
I've
But anyways,
I've never seen a.
Yeah, they have broken it down, but yeah, I know what
actual
you're.
timeline.
Somehow I don't think
So-
Jon Favreau is going to make us all rely on figuring out the math of the.
No, he's
of the
not.
Star Wars universe.
Well, Dave Filoni has more say than John. Him and the two of them together they're Mandalorian. They created the Mandalorian
Sure, but
lore.
what you're
got it.
seeing in terms of the brilliance of this series
Yep.
is Jon Favreau. It's
Yeah.
all,
No,
I mean,
I agree.
Dave Filoni. I don't want to minimize what
No,
he's
no.
doing.
Right.
By
He's
the way,
providing a certain kind of quality control and
right.
look and feel and stuff like that.
Well, he
what
directed
you're
the first.
seeing
Good.
in terms of story and setting
Is
and-
John? Yep.
is Jon Favreau. That's who you're seeing.
Here's
You
the
know,
interesting.
you know what I love too about the end of each episode is that they give us the concept art at the end of each episode.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I
that's
love
really
that.
But
cool.
hey,
It's so cool.
By the way, Dave Filoni, this was his first live-action directorial debut, and some people point out you could kind of tell because he was only used to directing 3D for a freshman run at doing a live-action direction. It was pretty. I didn't notice anything wrong with it. But other people,
it's
like,
downright
pointed out,
cinema-
yeah.
It's downright cinematic. I'm not sure what the
Yeah,
complaints
I mean,
are.
Because it's the director of photography who really determines a lot of this. I mean,
Right.
they work
exactly.
together with a director, but no decent cinematographer, and I forget who was the cinematographer on this, but no decent cinematographer, and I'm sure they bought a good one, a great one, is going to let something amateurish go by.
well,
even if the
Dave's always been a
director-
team player. He's not going to get like all
Yeah,
egotistical.
so you're not going to see anything,
Right.
any huge flubs directorially in something like this in terms of the image, because that's why you have a cinematographer.
Before anybody else talks about what they thought of episode 1, the reason I want to jump to Joe next is because Joe had an interesting conversation with me. He was never a huge Star Wars fan as much as the rest of us, but he was interested to see if this could change his mind. And then he had some interesting comments to me after the first episode. Joe, why don't you share your thoughts?
So I was watching it, and I started thinking, why am I enjoying this more than
You should.
the other series that I really like? And I think it came down to the pacing is fantastic. There's not 7 plot lines going on at the same time.
Mhm.
I was talking to a neighbor today who's a big fan of the Mandalorian, and she was saying, this is the first time we saw the inside of a sandcrawler.
Yeah.
No, we've seen the inside a
No,
little bit.
you've seen the storage bin.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
One
yeah, yeah.
storage
It's the first
bin,
time you've
that's it.
seen like.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
like
true.
love it that
close.
basically the walls of the sandcrawler are a laughing zone.
Ah,
And we'll get more into that when we get right into episode 2, but it's okay to talk about that now. It's fine.
Jawa's got more screen time tonight than they have in the entire
Ever.
franchise.
So-
it was pretty awesome.
So I want to say something before I forget that somebody pointed out that I think is brilliant. Even though these episodes aren't that long, there's something brilliant that they did in the second episode before we really dive into it that spins off of a line that Vader said to Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back. Oh, no. Yeah, in Empire Strikes Back. No disintegrations. I need him alive. We've never seen any reason for them to say no disintegrations until episode 2.
That's true. Yeah, nobody's gotten disintegrated before. That's a good
Vaporize
point.
mode.
Yeah,
This
we
gun,
haven't
you know,
That's-
and then
it's a good point.
and I actually enjoyed watching the Jawas vaporize. It was kind of funny, actually.
Oh, by the way, speaking of further canonization of the Star Wars Holiday Special, that is Boba Fett's rifle from the Star Wars Holiday Special. Thank you very much.
Yes, it is. It is. We.
I like how it looks like a crutch, kind of.
Yeah,
Like
it
you
does.
can put that on. And you're like, "Arr."
Yeah.
It looks like a pitching fork.
If you get your leg disintegrated,
Tuning fork,
you
tuning
can
fork.
use that.
Right.
Episodes are too short. I've spoken. Nick Nolte, by the way, doing a great job.
Nick
As always.
Nolte. I didn't realize that was him until
Me neither.
I'm like,
Yep.
oh my god.
Let me tell you something. Also,
He's
I can't
amazing.
wait if they have done this good of a
Doing
job
so good.
in these short. They're not mini episodes, obviously, but in these short episodes, if they can make one character become standout like this,
Mhm.
I can't wait to see Gina Carrera coming up and any of the other characters that are coming. More Carl Weathers. I've seen. If you watch the trailer, you don't. It's not a spoiler. You can see that there's other stuff coming where they all start interacting together.
The trailer, right? I mean, the trailer doesn't really give us much at all. It's Right, exactly. And so you're right. There's a lot more going on here, and I did not get the impression from Carl Weathers' own words on this that this is the last time we're going to see him. So I mean, the casting is great in this, and they're all, it's all just so really perfectly done.
Let's get everybody's.
How he tried to recruit him at the end of the.
I think he's going to end up being on. I think he is going to end up.
Okay, one at a time.
Yeah.
George,
that's why I was going to go
Sean.
to Justin. I wanted to get everybody out of the way, then go to general thoughts, and then do episode 2. Justin, you haven't had a chance to give your opinion of episode 1. Go for it.
It is the
And then Carlos.
best cross between a Western and sci-fi show in recent memory that I don't think we've had since Firefly.
That's
and
fair.
it is done so well.
Yeah.
So well.
Yep.
I mean, and anyone that's not even a fan of Star Wars could jump right in on this and not even know anything about the history of the show and be able to jump in and have no problems getting into this show at all. And that's how well done this is.
I have to agree with that to a certain degree. Yeah. All right, and Carlos, episode 1, go for it.
Well, obviously I liked it. And I went in, if you recall, months ago when we first started talking about Mandalorian, I was skeptical because I was like,
that's fair.
Who wants to see? Because, I'm assuming Bounty Hunter is not going to be that sympathetic. I assumed it was going to be more of an anti-hero, and he's clearly not an anti-hero.
Right.
And so that automatically elevates this above what I expected.
Yep.
It makes it a much more sustainable premise than it seemed at the beginning. So I was really pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah.
It was from a filmmaking standpoint, and I'm going to be curious to see how many different environments, because Star Wars always starts off with desert environments. So I'm curious to see how it will go when they move. I hope they move to other than desert environments.
Well, if you remember the trailer, there's a lot of other environments coming.
Great.
Just remember the trailer.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. But so again, casting, I'm not going to repeat stuff other people have said. I did look into how much it cost to make this. So that first 39-minute episode by itself was around $15 million. That is almost twice as much as an episode of Star Trek Discovery, like for comparison's sake.
I mean, it surprised me, actually.
They run 8 to 10 million an episode. So the whole season of The Mandalorian cost $120 million to make, which is about
8 episodes.
Which is about the amount you spend on a major motion picture these days. Right. But not the biggest motion pictures. They spend even more than that. But it does put it. I mean, it's so the whole thing costs more than one of the Star Wars movies. Any one of the Star Wars movies costs.
Oh yeah.
Game of Thrones, by comparison, cost $6 million an episode. So that gives you a sense of. Although by the last season they were up to $15 million as well. So. But for most of its run, they were spending a significant amount less. So I was impressed from that standpoint, how much they're spending on this and how much it doesn't look like they're spending. And what I mean by that is not that it looks cheap, but that it's not like in your face, look, here's this stuff that obviously cost us millions of dollars. It was just everything felt natural and organic and real. And that really made this an exceptional opening episode. And different from Star Wars, because Star Wars is about, oh, look at all the shiny stuff. And this wasn't. This just and this was relatively quiet, but intense. And you're scanning everything you're seeing on the screen for importance, and it gives you the room to find things of importance rather than the sort of George Lucas cram in as much as you can into the frame. So I really liked that. And George, you're going to love this one because this is the stance I normally take, which is I am all for the fan service that they've done so far. And the reason for that is it's also not in your face.
Yep.
And you don't have to know it's fan service to still appreciate this as a great show.
Yeah, I understand.
One of the things that I loved was, when he went into the one town and you see the one animal being roasted.
Yeah.
Oh, the Salacious Crumbs people there. The one that the Gemma's pet. That made me clap because I hated that little bastard all through the.
I did too.
And then seeing them that they roast them up and they're eating them, just like.
I got to be honest, he looked delicious.
Well, and they had one in the cage next to it waiting to be roasted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very worried, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
But,
like alien parrots and monkey parrots.
I'm not as probably as well-versed in all the Star Wars lore that some of you are. But, even after seeing all the movies, I saw little things sprinkled throughout that clearly are there for fans, that clearly lets fans know we are paying attention to the history of this franchise,
right?
But they're not letting it get out of hand.
You look at the one of the minor things that you blink if you miss it type thing is that little eyeball droid that pops out of the wall
twice, yeah.
That was great. Yes,
By the way, guys,
sounded the same. It even sounded the same.
Yeah. But here, by the way, here's something that was pointed out by a lot of people that I didn't notice at first. They never clearly show you and say which planet they're going to at any given time.
No.
Which is also not very Star Wars.
Right. Now, there's a lot of hints that where Nick Nolte's character is from is Tatooine. There's a lot of suggestions. He's a moisture farmer. There's all the Jawas are said to come from Tatooine and not be really that spacefaring, according to a lot of.
I'm hoping that this is not Tatooine.
No.
But there's a lot of hints. There are a lot of hints.
I think that's a shout out to Tatooine, because I thought, for example, the fact that there are Jawas not on Tatooine that are on other planets, I thought was fantastic.
I agree. I'm thinking the same thing.
But they did. They go out. They went out of their way in a lot of the. Now it's not really that canon. How the Jawas, there's a certain variant. Never mind. It doesn't matter.
Don't talk EU. Don't mention EU.
No, I won't. Before we switch to episode 2 discussion, I want to quickly get a couple of thoughts in. What I liked about the Mandalorian as a character is I think eventually he will take his helmet off, although they might do the thing where he takes it off, but you don't see him when the helmet's down.
Pedro Pascal, by the way, who plays the Mandalorian.
He's a handsome man.
Yeah.
He is, and he accidentally spilled the Mandalorian's name in an interview.
Oh, did he?
Yep. It is spoiler time.
I don't know. I didn't watch the whole interview, so I don't know what it is. But,
is it Bob? Tell me it's Bob.
No, it's Bob.
Bob Fett. What?
No, I'm kidding. I don't know what it was. I just know he did it.
I like the fact that his character is not what you expected. Like, he's not like a larger-than-life character that walks in and can kick everybody's ass. He can get hurt. It shows it a lot. He's not.
He gets his ass kicked.
He's brave, but he's not.
He does.
He reminds me of Bruce Campbell in any of his TV shows, except he doesn't make jokes. Like, he goes in going,
No, I think.
Like Briscoe Kenny Jr.
Look. Remember I remember the shootout scene with IG-11. He was dropping sarcastic jokes the whole time. I mean, it was subtle, but there was humor in that.
Yeah, there was. It wasn't as. It didn't always land as well as I hoped.
He's not this droll, dry character. He's got a sense of humor, which is great, because if he had just been this droll, stoic character, it would have been boring.
I just like, but I also like that scene, and we got to talk about before we move on to episode 2. We got to talk about the blacksmith scene when he goes in, and there's of course people saying that background character was Boba Fett. He does look exactly like him.
Maybe he
might be, he might not.
Could be, yeah.
But he talks to the blacksmith lady, and you get a sense of some of the things that if you watch the cartoons, you know more about the lore of the Mandalorian culture. If you didn't, that's fine. You'll learn it here. Of course, the only thing that's weird about this version interpretation is they don't take their helmets off. They wear them all the time. But that's not what we've seen in any of the other iterations except for the original trilogy.
Yeah, that helmet's got to get stinky after a couple of hours.
Yeah, and it's like, even Jango Fett's constantly hardly ever wearing the helmet. And,
right, exactly.
But anyways, that's a minor nitpick. They're trying to make a stylistic point with this. Like,
hey, by the way, By the way, first time in any of the major franchises in either Star Trek or Star Wars history, we saw a fucking toilet. Yes, for toilets.
We did. It was gold plated too.
It's a vac.
It was gold plated. It was gold plated.
It was not gold plated.
It looked gold plated.
It was silver.
It looked like it was brass.
It was gold plated. Yeah, it had a picture of Luke Skywalker.
It was shiny.
On it too.
It was a porta potty, you know. I know that was. I didn't like that. Okay, my only complaint about the first episode was that alien, the blue guy. He
I
reminded.
loved him.
You liked him? I thought he was like
he was hilarious.
He was hilarious.
Yep.
I thought he was a little.
This is like it was like this is what happens when a bounty hunter has to get a bullion. That's what I kept thinking to myself.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because he reminded me of
Rob Below's character on the Orville with the splooge and everything.
He reminded me of both in how he looked and how he sounded. I was like, damn, this guy reminds me a lot of a bullion. So, just nonstop talking. It was fucking Mr. Mott, the barber from Next Generation.
I also like the detail they paid to the fact that real quick before we switch to the episode 2 topic, people showed it on Twitter and it's a hint. At first I said, "Oh, that's got to be the scientist wants him, so he's got to be a Yoda clone." Then I decided, no, that maybe he's not. But what was pointed out on Twitter was the patch the scientist wears is the same patch that all the clones wear in episode 2 that are part of the labs of the clone people. Same exact patch.
On the cloning planet?
All the Boba Fett, all the Jango Fett clones that became clone troopers wore the patch.
On planet El Camino or whatever.
On Camino. They had the
Camino,
same
they
had the same patch, and this scientist guy has the same patch. Now, the argument is he trying to clone a member of Yoda's race because they're hard to find and they want to understand how they live so long, or is it a Yoda clone?
Well, remember which Jedi Knight it was that worked with the Camino people the closest.
But 50 years was way before.
Yep.
Right, but 50 years time-wise was way before. It was 20 years before the Camino incident. But that doesn't mean they didn't get his DNA. They could have gotten it from Dagobah for all we know. No, that would have been 50 years ago. No, that wouldn't have worked. Yeah, I don't know. So it's like hard to say whether he is a clone or just another member of his species. And maybe
my guess is that it is not a clone. And
if it wasn't 50 years, I would say
yes. I would say because I don't think they're going because I just don't see. Look, it's like Carlos said. The level of fan service in this is perfect the way it is. They're not going to go. They're not going to.
Yeah, that crosses the line
on that. They're not going to do that.
Now, one other thing. I'm now switching to episode 2, and I want to just be the first one to say something. And everybody, I'm going to jump to you guys. The thing about this baby, now that we know he's force sensitive and can do amazing things at his age, is that
the least surprising fact about this child.
No. I was going to say, if you guys don't think there's a reason for Luke to get involved now, once he hears about this shit,
oh, geez.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying.
Hey, here's a theory I'm going to throw out there about this baby Yoda.
I think it's Yoda. It's a child of Yoda. Maybe not even a clone.
That's a push.
Yeah, it's a child of Yoda.
Jedis don't have children.
They actually do. They just can't stay with the mother. That's been confirmed in all the. They can't have attachments.
Sailors.
They can, but they can't get married and be with the mother.
They're like sailors.
What?
Yeah.
They're allowed to breed. They're just not allowed to stay with. They can have intimate contacts, and if they get someone pregnant, that's great. But they're not allowed to stay with. They can love them and leave them basically, but they're not allowed to stay with the family.
So my theory on this it's not really theory. It's just what I'm throwing out there is that Yoda's people Yoda's kind of like one of the last, if not the last, of his people. And the thing
or they hide so that people won't go looking for the secrets of their long life.
Settle down. Let me finish what I'm saying. Okay, that he's the last of his. This is why his race has never been mentioned in Star Wars. So the theory is that he's either the last or one of the last of his race. But the thing about his race is the entire race is force sensitive, and that's why clone Doctor Guy is trying to clone more of them.
Or it could just be because of his long life. It may not be the force part. They live a long time.
I don't know, man. I'm guessing the force sensitivity plays more of a role in this, and the fact that he lives longer than your average bear. I don't know.
Let's see if we can transfer midichlorians from one to the other.
Well, no, I mean, I don't see. I never looked at midichlorians like that. Midichlorians, all they've said is that midichlorians, people with high midichlorian count, it's like a marker is how you can tell. It doesn't mean it's not the force. But anyway, the point being on this though is that in Star Wars,
I knew he was going to do that.
Yeah,
I always have this one ready.
Yeah, in Star
Wars, as you should.
With the Jedi being gone, with now the Sith being gone, with Palpatine being gone and Vader being gone, that somebody out there wants to take advantage of force-sensitive creatures. And what better way to do that than by not rolling the dice and by cloning a race that their entire race is force-sensitive? That's my theory.
And also in this time, okay, so let me just, before we move on to somebody else, I want to mention, I have it ready to talk to, I quoted it. So Jon Favreau said in an interview today, this isn't actually completely quoted, it's paraphrased a tiny bit. He said, "Don't be surprised if the baby is in every episode going forward from now on. This character is probably the most important character in the post-Return of the Jedi leading up to The Force Awakens character in all of the entire gap in between. He is a future important character. He's a current important character. And his relationship with the Mandalorian is going to be the basis for the rest of the entire series."
He's literally Mila Jovovich in The Fifth Element. Okay?
He's or like I said, like the Lone Wolf and Club.
I mean,
Lone Wolf and Cub.
This is the important, right? But this is like the importance. Again, this trope isn't anything new. It's just how they're.
It's not new. It's how they're playing it out.
It's how they're playing it out.
And by the way, Sean.
So good. Yes.
And by the way, and this leads to my next note. We notice in episode 2 that his surprise, and when he's talking to Nick Nolte's character about not being able to explain what he saw the baby do, the question that people are starting to ask is, does this tell us that in this post-Return of the Jedi, most of the galaxy has now become at the point where they don't even understand what the Force is because the Empire propaganda buried that information until, and also what a Jedi is? But here's my theory. We've seen the trailer, and we've only seen one flashback in the first episode. He was a child during the Clone Wars, and we see in the trailer, you see more detail that we got a quick glimpse in the first episode of a flashback where we saw the droids from the clone army and their ships attacking, and his parents were hiding him or whatever. The odds are, as a child during the Clone Wars, he may have seen the Jedi pull some force power.
Who are you talking about?
The Mandalorian as a child. In the flashback that was during the Clone Wars, and they're going to expand on it because it's in the trailer too, he was a little kid during the Clone Wars, and the droids were attacking. So the chances that he ever saw a Jedi do something are higher when he was a child.
Wait a minute. How do we know for a fact that was during the Clone Wars? I just assume that
because if you saw the trailer, if people paused it, and you could see more in the trailer.
No,
hold on. You see more detail in the trailer than you do in the quick flashback.
Okay, so what is it we see in the trailer?
We see the droids from the Clone Wars attacking.
You mean the long ones?
Both. The ones that do the not the battle droids, the other ones.
What is it they say all the time?
The tall silver ones that go.
Roger.
Thank you.
But not them. The other ones that do the multi-arm thing, and then you saw the droids control ships. You saw the droid drop ships up in the air. It was during the Clone Wars.
But what does it have to do with his flashback?
So I'm thinking this is just a prediction that he is shocked by what he saw the Yoda baby do, and it seems to not understand it. I think we're going to see another flashback later where he suddenly remembers.
George, he's not. I don't think he's old. The character is old enough to
lived
through the Clone
Yes, he
Wars.
is.
No,
he's in his time. Yes, he is. He's in his 40s. 30 years before. Okay, 30 years before this started was when the Clone Wars was going on, and he is in his 40s. He was a little kid.
He's in his 40s.
Well, I'm going by Pedro's age.
He's going by the age that he appeared in the flashback.
And also what he probably is.
The actor's age?
Yeah, I'm going by that because the trailers really
imply that. The actor doesn't look like he's in his 40s.
Well, late 30s, early 40s. He might have been even 8 years old, and he's still 38.
Look, I see nothing to indicate that
Everybody look at Ross. Look at Ross.
What's Ross doing?
I know.
What the hell are you doing, Ross?
Oh, my God. Should we be letting people...
This is going on for 20 minutes.
Kids,
this is reminding him...
Don't do this at home.
This is reminding me when I used to...
do it.
My friends used to come over to my house, and my brother had a chinchilla, and the stuff he would do to himself, and they would walk in, and I'd be like, oh, my God.
Stop. Where's my goddamn no button?
Yeah, what is your no button?
A chinchilla.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm not getting into the details. I'm just saying.
George, that smile on your face is disgusting.
Yeah, I'm talking about fucking a chinchilla.
Oh my god.
That's not what I was saying.
That's disgusting.
Kind of was.
That's not what I was saying at all.
A chinchilla?
Whether
Yeah,
you
they
wanna-
Chinchillas do things to themselves. That's all I'm saying.
God.
Oh,
So do
wow.
humans, as Ross was amply
But they don't
demonstrating.
care who watches. That's what I'm saying. Some humans don't either. I see.
As Ross
Anyways.
was amply demonstrating. Yes.
Bad Ross.
People are saying in the chat,
So,
Ross, this
okay,
is not a porn movie.
I have more of a my feeling on this is that I think he was a child. Is he done?
Are we
This
still
show took a
laughing
niche.
at Ross?
No, not at all. Anyways.
Okay, well, my quick theory on this is that I believe that he was. It's post the Clone Wars. I think it's during the Empire, the purge by the Empire. And my theory on this with the Mandalorians is because remember the Mandalorians betrayed the Empire. Okay, they united and they betrayed. And I got a feeling the Empire pretty much wiped them the fuck out, and now they're scared across the galaxy. And I think that's the scene you saw in that flashback is memories of the Empire.
Dude, the flashbacks clearly show if you freeze them, it's the droids. It's not the Empire.
Sean,
it's the droids.
What?
Sean, can you tell? So for those of us,
I'll show you.
The droids fought for the.
For those of us that aren't familiar with the timeline of Star Wars, can you tell us like Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3? Like, what's the year? How many years did that span? And then between Episode 3 and Episode 4,
okay.
Like what's that?
This is where it gets confusing because you've got Episode 1 and Episode 2. You've got like what is it? Like 5? I don't know, 6, 7 years between Episode 1 and Episode 2. Between when
I think it's closer to 10.
Okay,
because
let's go with 10.
Anakin is your baseline
benchmark.
So
right, okay.
Anakin was around 10.
All right.
In Episode 1.
All right,
and in
all right.
Episode 2, he's a little bit. He's teenager
Right.
plus.
Exactly.
Well,
So that puts him
she's
at around 18, 19.
Padme said it was 10 years that they haven't seen each other.
Right,
All right.
that's right.
Boom.
He's right.
Carlos,
He's right.
correct.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you've got the Clone Wars, the series, okay? And the Clone Wars dives heavily into all of this. And of course, because, of course, you know, if you're a Jedi, you automatically get to become a general, even if you're a snotty little brat like Anakin Skywalker. So you have that.
Seriously, now we know where Luke gets it.
Right. And because it ain't from Mama. She's just the galaxy's biggest cock tease. So, okay. I'm sorry. Watch those the 2 and 3. Tell me she's not. She was a cock tease him when she was married to him. So, okay. So true. Okay. So here we go. So then you've got, so the Clone Wars is important. Okay. That because it explains a lot about the Mandalorian.
When you're ready, I'll show you the proof that it's the Clone Wars and not the Empire. But go ahead.
Okay. You show me the proof, tough guy. Okay.
I just want to know the timeline.
Okay. So then after that, then you've got after the end, Revenge of the Sith, and the end of that, that's when the Empire is formed, and there's 18 years after that is when Rebels begins. Okay, and Rebels, and so that 18 years after that. So we're talking about a span, I guess. So we got 20.
That's something I always found very disappointing. The fact that the Empire really was only around for around 20 years.
Well, they sucked at administration. What can I tell you?
Well,
that's
clearly,
what
but I feel like it would have been.
Yeah.
It would have been more like majestic. It would have had more gravitas if we were talking about an empire that had been entrenched for a century. You know,
Right.
I always imagined it was like Rome, and now it's
Yeah.
really more like just a palace coup.
Yeah, exactly. It was a weekend.
I thought it cheapened the whole.
It was like the Banana Republic, basically just constant coups,
Yeah.
changes of power. So you got 18 years before. So let's figure this timeline out here. Okay, we had Anakin. How old would we say Anakin was? Being like 25 in the
Clone Wars.
in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, and Revenge of the Sith, it was 3 years later, so he's 23.
23.
So he's 23. So George, here you go. 23 plus 18. That's 41 right there. Okay, that's not 50 from beginning to end, just based on your timeline that you told me.
It was 30 years. Hold on. The Clone Wars started 30 years before when the Mandalorians started, according to Jon Favreau. If that's true, then Anakin was 20 when the Clone Wars started and ended. He was 23. Then that's 30 years ago.
But,
wait, no, wait. You might be right.
I think Sean is right.
Yeah.
This math does not work. So I just want to thank everybody home for watching us debate math for the last 10 minutes here. So because that's been fun.
I wanted a simple answer.
See this picture?
You wanted a simple answer from Star Wars nerds? What are you thinking?
This is one of the many quick trailer shots of his flashback.
Cylon.
Those are
that's Super Battle Bot right there.
Those are the big battle droids. And then there's another shot where you see the droid.
Are we sure about that?
Yes.
I don't know about.
Well, there's a couple other.
I'm damn sure.
Hold on. There's a couple other pictures. I can't find the clearer ones, but there's one where you see them shooting out of the wrist, and there's another one where you actually see those roundish drop ships that they used in the cartoons and in Revenge of the Sith.
But here's the thing, dude. That does not make sense for the Clone Wars. It just doesn't make sense.
If he's in his late 30s, it makes sense.
I don't understand.
If he was 8, 9, 7, 6 years old, then he was a kid during the Clone Wars.
But there's literally nothing in the lore that in on-screen lore that suggests that Mandalorian was a battleground for the Clone Wars.
We're actually about to see that
in
the new season
of Clone.
No. In the new season of Clone Wars, this whole last season that we're about to have is about.
You mean Resistance?
No, Clone Wars.
Oh, that's right. They're doing.
It's all about the Siege of Mandalore. So, and Favreau said this is all gonna.
Well, then maybe it fucking ties together. Then now it all makes sense. All right.
This whole season, if you watch the trailer too, that's all they do is fight Mandalorians.
Oh God, Star Trek is so much more straightforward. Even
It really is.
It is.
Jeez, even with the time travel.
No. They catch up, but they don't at least contradict themselves. That's a difference. Anyways.
Well, no, Star Wars has never contradicted itself.
Yeah, really.
No.
Well, at least they admit it. They say start over. Anyways.
Stop.
All right, so episode 2, Force Baby, get that Lone Wolf and Cub vibe.
Roger.
Thank you, Justin.
Sean, talk about episode 2.
Okay, from the very beginning with just watching that. Okay, I'm sorry. That Baby Yoda is so fucking cute. I can't get over it.
It really is.
Oh, the merchandise.
Adorable.
Exactly. I'm like, where is the merchandise for this already?
They had to keep it a secret, though, or else,
It's coming.
Yeah. So, his attachment to that baby and to protect it at all costs is incredibly touching. It reveals a lot about the character.
Yep.
And this was really, let's be honest about this episode. They threw a comedy episode at us in the second episode, and I'm really glad they did. It was a nice change of pace. Even
I'd say lighthearted. I wouldn't say comedy.
Dude, that was almost straight up comedy. The whole business with the Jawa, that was almost straight up comedy. You could not have played that any better. And then the egg. I mean, come on.
The egg was a great part.
And he gets his ass.
And when he's trying to,
I have to say that looked like a pretty luscious egg.
Yeah,
it did. It looked
and he went through all that shit, and he's like, and then it was also they could slice it up and start eating it. And he's just like,
"Fucking kidding me." Yeah.
The only thing I thought about while they were eating the yolk, I was like, look at how much they're wasting.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if it was that precious, why would you waste so much?
Because I think, you know what? I think the problem is that in the back of our minds, we're all looking at it and going, that is the world's biggest fucking Cadbury egg right there.
I was thinking that too. Cadbury egg.
What are you doing to it?
Yeah. Also, I love that part where the baby's you could tell what he was trying to do when he was like trying to burn off his wounds. And the baby's, he's getting ready to try to heal him. Yep. He's just like, what are you doing? Get back in the crib.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cute. That was a nice foreshadow.
I think it was a matter of, he seemed like uncomfortable with it. It's like, I think he knew what he was doing, but he was just uncomfortable with the whole thing.
It was his instincts coming out.
Yeah, and what was interesting was, I love the line about, they want you to put down your rifle. I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are part of my religion. And he was not kidding.
No, he at least got away with not giving away his pauldron because of what Nick Nolte's guy. I can remember,
Yeah, and here's what we learned about the Jawas. The Jawas are dicks, but they're fair. I mean, it was a fair deal. I mean, even after he killed several of them.
You know what though?
I counted body count of 4 Jawas.
I've seen arguments where people said he could have crawled to the top of that thing and they could have had weapons that weren't stun and just blew him up. I think they don't have them.
I agree with that because
I think they just happen to they're used to shooting droids and shit. So
that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah, they're built to disable, not to kill.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly.
Or not destroy, as they said.
It's exactly what he said. Right, exactly. It's exactly what our Ugnaught friend said.
The scavengers, not destroyers, or whatever.
The scavengers, right? They're thieves, not destroyers. They don't destroy things.
Yeah. But somebody said, well, they have all these. They could easily have killed. No, they didn't choose not to kill them. They just didn't have something that could kill them. Is my opinion, because we've never seen them.
That's why they had 30 of them shoot them at once, hoping it would work.
Because if that was true, they might have stood a chance against the stormtroopers in Star Wars: A New Hope. But anyways, we didn't see that fight, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, they're that's just not their gig, you know. And you know, here's the thing. It's for what they do. Here's the thing. Everybody trades with them, regardless of their reputation.
Yeah.
And so having the reputation that you kill motherfuckers too is not good for business at all.
That is true.
For them.
They're not exactly like Friggy, but...
And the other side of this for them is like, they're not the most intimidating creatures around. So, you know, if they get a reputation for killing people, look, it ain't going to take long before somebody comes along and just wipes them all the fuck out. And it's clear, I think, that we're not on Tatooine. So what we have learned is that these guys do travel. And they do trade, and it gets around who they are. So, you know, they've got to maintain a certain levels of standards there. Like I said, they're willing to trade for his parts back, even though they stole them. In their minds, hey, we rightfully stole those because you weren't watching your shit. So,
yeah it's your own fault. Buy them back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the Jawas in this episode. They were hilarious.
Carlos, did you already talk?
They're great.
Were you in? Oh, Carlos. What's your review on episode 2?
Well, episode 2 raises the stakes for the whole series in a really good way. I mean, we're left off at the end of episode 1 with, oh my God, this is a, you know, member of Yoda's species kind of a thing. And what are the implications of this? And at first, you know, I just love how he's walking around all the time in the little, you know, holder is like,
it follows him. He's got it set to his,
except for the one part where those guys attack him and he pushes it back and it goes. Yep.
He didn't even push it. He had it set so he could remote control it. He went and it moved.
Oh, I thought he pushed it.
I thought at first too, but when I watched it a second time, he had it set for his remote.
Yeah,
he was able to make it do that. He had it set to follow him. It seems like he synced it to his wrist jet. I don't know.
Well, I watched this, by the way, at about 12:05 a.m.
Bluetooth. He did a Bluetooth. Anyways.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a Bluetooth.
Talking about Mandalorian doing the Bluetooth.
Yeah, with the crib. With the crib. It's a joke. Anyways, you saw it in the
I watched it at 12:05 this morning.
So basically, when it dropped is when you watched
Pretty much. I checked it about 11:47. Not about. Precisely. 11:47.
Holy shit.
And, well, I mean, I was up for other reasons.
Wait, it dropped for you at 12?
Other reasons?
Yeah.
For me, I checked it I didn't check it 3. I was
a little after 12.
All right. Okay. I kept hearing different stories about when it was dropping.
West Coast has been consistent. Both episodes dropped at midnight.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, carry on. Sorry.
So anyway, I like the whole direction of it. I was so glad we got to see. What's Nick Nolte's character's name again?
We don't know yet. Just
no, he said it. It's like Kurik. I can't remember how to pronounce it though. It starts with a K.
It's in the subtitles.
Anyway, I was glad we got to see more of him because I love him, and I have spoken is now part of my vocabulary.
Yep, exactly.
It should be part of everyone.
It's part of our lexicon now.
And it was like instant.
Instant meme. Instant meme. Yep.
Yeah, it was the. I mean, we've already seen 3 different versions from Justin. Thanks, Justin.
Yes, right.
Just during this show. So
Harry, I'll be right back.
So
just a bio break.
Now, the other thing I really liked about it is that you know, they give you, and I've mentioned this about I forget which other series, but we talked about recently that they give you enough information for you to know what's going on, and still maintain mystery. Like we still don't know who this baby is, where they come from, why he's so valuable. And you know, the first time we see him sort of raise his little paws, his cute little green paws up, and you're like, he's going to do something with the Force. Oh my God. And then he doesn't let him. I'm like, damn. And then he does later when he, you know, Force lifts the whatever that thing was called, like the rhino thing. And I'm like, yay, he knows the Force.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, that lays the groundwork for a lot of cool stuff in this series. The fact that there is a force sensitive character that's going to be a main character, and you have to wonder. I mean, yes, he looks like a baby, but he has been around 50 years, so.
But yeah,
He's
but he
intelligent. He's, I
Okay,
mean,
yeah, I got to point something out about that too. That when after having 3 kids, all I could think about was 50 years of diapers. You got to be fucking.
he seemed pretty low maintenance.
Oh.
He seemed pretty low maintenance.
Joe knows what I'm talking about. Look at Joe. Joe's like, yep. He's only got the one.
I'll tell you what, though, they're pretty low maintenance babies. They don't like throw a 50-year-old fit, and
Well, it was the best behaved baby I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's
balanced with the force.
He only makes Darth duties in his diaper.
Anyway, so it set me up. It sets up the series, I think, very well in terms of plot and characters. So I love really good writing, and it's clear that they're working hard to keep this internally consistent, which, is not the best strength area, by the way, for Star Trek Discovery, which, I mean, I love that show, but they have significant lapses in some of their own continuity within the same season, and certainly between seasons and stuff like that, and things that are just some kind of improbable sometimes. Here, you're seeing some very, very tight writing.
I agree.
And from a writer's perspective and a producer's perspective, this is the kind of show you want to make.
Yeah, and I was going to put in to that end exactly what Joe said. You don't have 7 different subplots to try to keep up with. This is a straightforward story. If there are subplots, they have yet to rear their heads. We kind of have an idea that they're out there. We have kind of an idea that they're out there based on the fact that
you'll see more as it goes on.
But it's much more. I think it's much more linear. I mean, it's all about everything ties into Baby Yoda.
Yeah, maybe not linear, but focused.
Focused. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we'll see more flashbacks, for example. And by the way, remind me again, is this 8 episodes or 10?
8.
Only 8. Oh,
yeah.
That
only
hurts,
6.
Because that's you can only.
But
cover,
season 2
and they're not an hour long.
No, but season 2 is midway on.
But I will tell you this: I do appreciate. I really have become a fan of the 30 to 40 minute episode thing lately on streaming services for dramas. This is a relatively new concept, and I've come across quite a few shows that really.
It's actually not, Sean. It's actually not. Network dramas are 42 minutes.
Well, I know
so
that,
this
but
is in the same neighborhood, so it's not something that's out of.
But from what I understand, they're all going to be under 30 minutes going forward. But my point on this was that for streaming services, dramas have traditionally been in the hour range.
Yeah.
45 minutes and up. Okay, and they've been experimenting lately with these shorter episodes. These shorter episodes, and if you've got the writing there, it works. These are shorter episodes, but they don't feel like it because they're efficiently using all the time to tell the story, and they're doing a great job.
Absolutely. Yep.
Speaking of which, a show I've been watching on Netflix that dropped as not in the same vein as this, but it's a 30-minute show it's definitely more of a drama than it's a comedy. Living with Myself. Have you guys seen this on Netflix with Paul Rudd?
No, I want to. It's on my list.
It's very good.
I'm sure it is. It's
thoroughly
got Paul
enjoyed
Rudd
it.
in it.
Yeah, it's very, very cleverly done. Again, another example of a show that you would think would be an hour long per ep, and then you think, it's only 30 minutes. Oh, all right.
Then there've been a number like that on Netflix, and it works. It's actually
Russian Doll.
Yeah.
Good example.
Also, very, very much a lot of story packed into a short amount of time, and that's easier to do in shows where the main character is literally the central character. Like it's completely about them. And so even though I think you'll see more subplots in this series as you move on, it's clearly going to be always The Mandalorian. You know, Star Trek Discovery is an ensemble show.
Yep.
I mean, Star Trek has always been an ensemble show.
Well, that's good.
Well, I mean, so all I'm saying is that when you have that kind of focus in your storytelling, you can cover a lot. It's basically, you know, in 30 minutes.
Well, yeah, it's always from
in
his
an ensemble show. You have to have an A plot, a B plot.
Right. There is no B story so far.
Exactly.
It's all A
Exactly.
story.
It's all his point of view.
Yeah, and
we're not showing us what somebody else is doing.
But even going forward, when we're going to get more characters in this, it's not going to be a B story. It's going to be an A1, A2, A3 is what it's going to be.
Right.
Like Joe said, focused. So, I mean, you can tell it's just how it's going, because clearly what Favreau said about our Baby Yoda is that he is going to be the central point of the series. So there you have it.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, and these aren't spoilers because I have no idea what's going to happen, but we don't see an adolescent Yoda in the last trilogy. Just saying.
No.
You know, but Joe had an interesting theory about that. Now that you bring it up, Joe's theory was
lay it on us, Joe.
Yeah, lay it on us, Joe.
So my theory is that Baby Yoda will show up in the next trilogy.
After Rise of Skywalker. Maybe even 100 years after Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, I like that.
Because if you plan it now,
he's still too young in this one.
He's too young to like be a real, to say he's the Jedi difference or whatever, like Rey. But if you look at the age and how slowly he's maturing, he could be the next Yoda for 100 years after the first.
Or 200 or 300.
Or 200 or 300 years.
Right, he'll be like middle age.
Because they said he's going to be a hugely important character going forward, but that doesn't mean in the next 100 years.
Sure, right.
It doesn't interfere with anything they've already established.
Right. And what I
well, like, good. I mean, that's hopeful.
One of the things I want to point out and this is something that I think Carlos he's taken issue with before. Carlos has said right up that, you know, with the Star Wars franchise, it's like it gets to a point where there's only so much you can do with it. What I like about this series is that it shows if you've got the right people writing it, you really can do a lot with it. It's
branching out into some new areas,
which
even though you're seeing some very Star Warsian tropes in this, from a storytelling perspective, it's being told in a very different way, and it's being told with a central character that's, I mean, just at the center of everything. And I think, you know, it's a character that they established very well, very quickly, and I think it's great for the Star Wars universe to begin to move in this kind of direction. And I'm gonna go out on a little bit of a limb here and predict that Star Wars on television is going to be more what we consider the real Star Wars from this point forward than the movies. Movies are going to be almost like capstones for what we see in the.
So basically, what you're getting at here is that the movies are going to become to the Star Wars franchise what the movies are for the Star Trek franchise, is what you say.
Well, they're talking about
they're like special events as opposed to
Well, and look in the article I just read today, they one of the guys at Disney said that because this is so popular so far that they're looking at doing a 2-hour Mandalorian movie.
But will it be a streaming movie or a big screen movie? They haven't said that.
We're talking about movies at theaters.
Okay. Yeah, this is Disney we're talking about.
Right.
Of course.
The only problem I have with a movie would be, will they be able to keep the same pace as they are in the show?
If they have Jon Favreau, of course they will.
Here's the thing:
there's a different pacing expectation
for a film. That's correct.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a much bigger challenge.
Yeah, you're talking about making a 4-hour movie if you do this at this level of pacing. You really can't do that. So it's film pacing as opposed to television pacing. So.
All right, let's get through talking about episode 2 and no rush, but then we'll move on to the non-Mandalorian topics. But I
am very dry, and I'm going to go get a drink.
Go get your drink.
Joe, we haven't heard your thoughts, and then I'll go to Justin. Joe, episode 2. Why did I say 4? 2. What did you think of episode 2 as opposed to episode 1? I assume you saw it.
So maybe you can all help me with this. I don't know why I keep comparing this to Star Trek Discovery, but the visual effects in The Mandalorian are so clean and crisp, and the space scenes are beautiful.
Oh, that's because they're using practical effects more than
there haven't been a lot of space scenes in The Mandalorian yet. I mean, so
right. But the space scenes that we do have compared to the space scenes like in Discovery, it's all like this halo effect. You can't really tell what's going on.
Discovery is using mostly CGI. Mandalorian, interestingly enough, even in space, is going old school because they're trying to recapture the original trilogy, and they're doing models mostly.
And it works. It feels more
organic.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels more real.
It does.
So I'm enjoying it. And I know we're going to talk about the short trek later, but when I watched the short trek today after the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian, I'm like,
something felt different.
Looking forward to next Friday.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah, it's a different production style. And you know, they had a. Go ahead, Justin. What were you going to say?
But I mean, I'm more excited for the Mandalorian, to be honest.
Well, I think
then
it's
for
just a matter
3 of Discovery.
No, I would.
I would not say that.
I want to see what season 3 of Discovery has to offer. But
I don't think it's fair to like pick one over the other. It's like picking a child, like Sean would say.
I mean, I'm so excited for it, but I'm more excited to
Well, we haven't had Star Wars live action TV like this before, so it's new and it's fresh. We've been used to like all we've been, either seeing the movies or we've been getting animated. And as great as they are, this is something different, and we're getting it every week.
But so I mean, this is so well done that, like I said, you don't even have to be a Star Wars fan to enjoy this. I mean, you jump.
Well, it helps. It helps.
It helps, yeah. But
well,
I mean,
sure. But look at where you're starting from. I mean, in Star Wars, you don't have the huge canon that you have in
Star Trek.
And so yeah, it's not as big a hill to climb for them. So I think that's one of the reasons why you're able to cut out a small slice of the Star Wars universe and tell a really great, tight story like you're seeing in Mandalorian.
Right.
Whereas, Star Trek is all about, big themes and things that cut across an entire galaxy and all of the different people and aspects of that as it goes along. Whereas this is going to be about one guy. So there are different storytelling challenges between them.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's like they're different shows. It's not a competition like it is with Orville and Discovery and
that's such a non-competition.
It is, but
I'm sorry. It's
the
a
fans
false
that even
dichotomy.
try to.
I know.
I agree.
But I
just
think
saying,
it's ridiculous that
interestingly enough, I've seen no negativity about the Mandalorian anywhere. It's weird.
Well, there's no competition for Star Wars.
Right.
That's true. No, you're right. People were just pissed about The Last Jedi, but other than that, they have no reason.
There's no competition. There's no other franchise out there. I mean, a lot of people try to force one between Star Wars and Star Trek, but it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
There's no actual competition.
Star Wars stands on its own.
Yeah.
Well, Star Trek does too. I mean, that's not my point. My point is that there's nothing else out there that's of the same kind of storytelling that's competing with it. There just isn't.
And Justin, for you, for episode 2, wrapping up the Mandalorian reviews, what did you think overall and about what the potential is for the future?
I love the pacing. I love the fact that he had to piece together his own ship. We don't really get to see
rebuild
that.
It. Yeah.
We don't really get to see that too often in these type of shows.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was just so well done. I hope they keep this pace up with the rest of the shows and we don't have any dull episodes because, I mean, it was really quite enjoyable to watch. And
to wrap up the Mandalorian segment of this show, let's do a 9 out of 10. All right. Let's just combine them as the 2 episodes. Like, this is really a 2-part introduction for this week. They did it this way on purpose. I'm going to say...
By the way, Disney Plus did it with not just The Mandalorian, but at least 1 or 2 of its other shows. They did 2 episodes in the first week.
Well, that's a good idea. I'm going to say close to a 10, but I'm going to say 9.6.
Why?
Because you need more lightsabers for me to be perfectly happy. And
Oh my
if
God.
I'm being honest,
Oh my God.
that's just me. That's
Show
my
me your-
I would've
that's
taken
my
2 points off
standard.
for that.
That's my standard.
Yeah, I would
as
have
a
taken
star.
2 points off for that
That's
too.
my standard. I have a right to
That's
have a
just-
standard. That's like saying if it's not a perfect Star Trek episode if there wasn't a phaser fired. I'm sorry. Anyways,
That
Carlos,
is not the same.
It's not the same.
it is to me. What about you, Carlos?
I'm comfortable with a 9. Good solid 9. Very solid 9.
All right.
I thought we saw a very well told story. It set realistic goals and surpassed them. It makes you at the end, you're just like frustrated because you want more and more and more and more, and that's a good sign.
And by the way, everybody, it's every Friday now. That's the settled debut day every week. And Sean, what about you?
Yeah, 9. Agreed with Carlos. Perfect. I'm very, I'm hesitant to give 10s out anyway. But the fact is that if I do it, I mean, there's no top here. We've already hit it, and I expect even greater things from this series.
Yeah, I mean, if it stays at this level, frankly, I will be disappointed. And it's a good level, but it's like it needs to continue to expand its own goals and so forth. So
I have faith in Dave Filoni's and John Favreau's storytelling.
Let me finish, please. Okay. I think Justin makes a very good point when he says that, the internal pacing of each episode has been excellent. I totally agree with that. But you also have to, especially on an 8 episode, and I used to write for a series that had 6 to 8 episodes per season. So I know the challenge in doing the kinds of arcs in what's, relatively short amount of episodes of about the same length, around a half an hour. So you have a lot of territory to cover, and how you pace each episode against one another and leading from the beginning to a satisfying conclusion at the end of the season, that's going to be the challenge for them to really meet. Because so far, each of the 2 episodes we've seen so far internally works great. They link together very well, but now we're going to need to see more.
Right. I agree. Joe, out of 10.
What did Carlos bid? What was
He said
Carlos'
9.
bid?
Both of them
9.
said 9. I said 9.6.
9.1.
I knew it. Because you know why?
Joe?
Yeah, because Joe thinks this is the fucking Price is Right. That's why. Joe, you bitch.
Hey, somebody ping Ross. Somebody ping Ross because we're not spoiling anymore. We're just getting ready to wrap up.
Wait, I have one more thing.
$901, Bob. No.
I have one more thing to share.
Uh-oh.
One more thing to share. So I have yet to ship this out, but this is for Sean because it was his birthday a while ago. I'm gonna ship him my Millennium Falcons. It's all lights up.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God, Joe!
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
that's for Sean.
Sean, you bitch.
All right. Out of
He
10.
didn't say anything.
Out of 10, Justin, what do you think?
I gotta go with a 9, just because it can only get better.
Or worse.
Hopefully. It could. We'll see.
No,
Well,
I mean,
8
they're
episodes,
they're on a good path.
I think, yeah. All right. I'm going to stop this record. Well, I'm not going to stop the stream. I'm just going to stop this recording to say we're going to now jump to regular topics for the rest of the show of Star Trek nature. So I'm just wrapping up.
Wait. Why do you have to start recording?
No. Because for the upload tomorrow, I'm separating the Mandalorian part from the rest of the show. Two separate contents.
Okay, but that's not going to affect the Facebook feed?
No. The stream is staying the same for these guys. All the live people are staying here, and how you doing?
Okay, great.
Yeah. No, it's the recording. That's all. And it's higher quality, too.